Welcome to The Connection Code, a podcast where we explore the relationships that make your life and work just a little bit better.
I'm Rachel Gilman-Rischel. I lead a PR firm called 3PR, which is focused on healthy food brands, but I'm also deeply obsessed with connection and very into my introduction challenge, which is wrapping up for the year.
My goodness. And I'm Jeana Anderson Cohen. I've spent more than 13 years building a business that helps adults make friends through fitness called A Sweat Life. And I'm also working on a social gathering and event space in New Buffalo, Michigan called Petite Acres. I'm pretty obsessed with friends.
So Jeana, I cannot believe that we are here kicking off season 2. And you know I'm extremely sentimental. So just the ability to, you do know that, to take a moment and think, we met, we became friends. You pitched me on the idea of starting a podcast together, which was the world's quickest yes. We did 25 episodes. We had incredible conversations. It felt pretty natural that this episode should be both a look back and a look forward. So the big question is, for connection in the coming year, what are you going to prioritize?
Oh, I felt a little stumped by this, but then I was like, no, I know exactly what I want to prioritize. And what was stumping me, Rachel, was that I felt like I needed to bucket it for work. And all I do for work is connect people and connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to focus on this year is creating meaningful friendships where I live and joining groups instead of leading groups.
This is a change for you because you're very comfortable being group leader.
Yeah, I like to be a group leader too, but I also there's such a different value. And I think we've talked about this before and on an episode we've yet to record. We will talk about this more, but there's a different value to sitting back and sort of playing the role of attendee, of person who is led in a social group. So I'm just really looking forward to being the person whose itinerary is curated for them in my social life.
I'm going to hold you to this in the most gentle, loving way possible. And I want to see how it goes for you to get to be a backseat friend as opposed to always having to drive.
I'm really looking forward to this too. So Rachel, tell me, what are you sort of prioritizing with connection this year?
It will surprise you not at all that it's going to be something I initiate. But I was also thinking about how much we love connection and how we integrate it into our daily lives. But I thought, what could be almost a resolution for the next year? And I came up with a term, which is not that original and is also a vitamin, but it's called one a day.
Perfect.
And my thought is, what if every day of 2026, I just think of one person in my life and I reach out to them? And that could be a text to say, I'm thinking of you. Or it could be that I had a memory I wanted to revisit. Or it could be asking them a question about what's going on. But the idea is low lift, different person every single day. And if I hold to it, assuming I have that many people in my life, I will have touched 365 different people. Yeah. I don't know how achievable it is, but I just like the idea of being more intentional about telling people I'm grateful for them, or they're on my mind, or I love them, or I just wanted to see how they're doing.
I love that. Are you open to repeating people? Because that's 365 is a lot of people. And we know, the number.
I mean, literally, as I said this, I thought, I think it might be lofty to not repeat. I don't know that I have 365 distinct people to check in with. So yes, I'm going to do some repeats.
Great.
But it's more, I think, about the daily practice than how far a net I cast.
I love that. And I think it's such a nice spin on the challenge that you gave yourself this year of connecting as many people to each other as possible. Because I think this gives you are you doing a daily gratitude practice right now, Rachel?
No, which I think is part of the problem. We have this ritual in my family on Thanksgiving. We do Wine Women Wednesday. So the night before Thanksgiving, I know, it's so great. It's like all so sets of sisters, basically. So it's my mom and her sister, me and my sister, my aunt's 2 daughters who are sisters, and then my sister-in-law. And this year we were really intentional about it, very Priya Parker. And my Aunt Carol was the timekeeper and the moderator. So everybody got about, give or take 10 minutes to go in a circle and say what their most salient issue was, what's on their mind and most pressing. And it got very emotional. Obviously, we had a lot to say about our relationships. And my sister-in-law asked me a very powerful question that I'm still mulling over. And she's like, Rachel, I think you're a pretty introspective person, but what kind of self-care are you practicing and how are you taking care of yourself? And I was like,
Ooh.
ooh, not journaling, not doing a daily gratitude practice, not meditating, not getting my walks in. I just feel like I realized with sudden clarity that I don't think I'm doing the things that I would preach for other people to do.
I feel like I bump up against that wall you're describing in therapy like, a lot, where I'll be like, oh, I don't know, like I'm so frustrated, I'm not feeling grounded, or blah 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 blah. And my therapist will be like, what are you doing to take care of yourself? And I'm like, every time in my head, I'm like, well, fuck you.
Don't ask me the obvious question.
Yeah, this appointment, I thought.
But, this is the self-care?
Yeah.
Yes.
But then what ended up happening was we ended up creating BTW. I love my therapist. She has since like left therapy practice. But I loved her. I'll need a new one eventually, but loved her. But what we ended up creating was sort of like something I could do, which was a list of like 10 self-care practices. And then if I did like 2 or 3 a day, even one, it was sort of like looking at that list and being like, okay, what fits into my life today? And then not feeling guilty about the rest of it. Cause I think
what are they? Tell us more.
Well, basically the things you named, like talking to a friend, doing a workout, going for a walk, journaling, meditating. There are other things too, like drinking enough water, taking my vitamins, getting 8 hours of sleep, winding down before bed in a meaningful way, and then doing like a skincare routine. So like running the gamut. And some of those things are just super ingrained in your day, in your life. So if you're having a rough day, or for me anyway, if I'm having a rough day, I can be like, you know what? I drink water. I did it. But then if I'm like really on it, and like today I got great sleep last night. So I got up early, I did a morning workout, I meditated, but like ask me about any other day this week. No. So I heard a lot of should in that self-care reflection, Rachel. And I feel like you should be nice to you because you do a lot for yourself and others.
Thank you. I always wish there was some magical new aha moment about the best way to take care of yourself. And it frustrates me that it's so basic, but the tenets hold. I need a lot of sleep. That is like the foundation of my entire life. Yes. And so if I get the sleep, everything else falls into place. And then, yes, those things are lovely if I'm doing a skincare routine or taking a nice walk or journaling. But yeah, there's no hack or like cheat code that I have heard that is better than just get an adequate amount of sleep.
Right. No, just get sleep and everything else. Your mood follows. You'll want to work out. I did start taking a new sleep supplement, by the way.
Oh.
It's
Will you send it to me? Because I'm on my creatine kick because of you.
I know. Oh, you really? Okay, thank God. I talked to your friend about creatine, but the sleep supplement I'm taking is from Charlotte's Web. It's like the Stay Asleep supplement, right? Am I saying that right? Yeah. So it's CDN. Yeah. So it's not like no melatonin. It's the cannabinoid it's sort of like a mild sedative, but it keeps you asleep. I highly recommend it.
Okay. If nothing else comes out of this conversation today, I'm hoping it is a sleep tool. So thank you.
Great. Always here for you.
Okay. All right. Season 1. I love a recap and I love a look forward. So do you want to think first about what did we discover during season 1?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make us check in on joy metrics. Will you come with me on the journey of the metrics?
I'm buckling up. Yes.
Okay, good. So before we started the podcast, Rachel, we outlined metrics of joy, less about how we got out into the world and more about how we felt about what we created. I would argue very Eve Rodsky unicorn space. So I want to just check mark each of these metrics with you. Are you cool with that?
Yes.
Okay. First and foremost, first joy metric. Are we having fun?
We are. We're going to blend our discoveries together because I wrote down that this is my favorite hobby.
I love that. Me too. I'm having a lot of fun too. And it's like, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like work, like you're saying, like it's a hobby, like we're spending time on it, but I really enjoy it.
I agree. Yes, the fun is being had, and I'm so grateful for it because I think I need a different type of fun in my life, and this has provided it.
Okay, good. I'm glad that is happening for us. Number 2, are we connecting people?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I tell you a good one?
More than anything, I would love to hear
Okay,
this.
I'm scooping a future episode, but
Okay.
we have an upcoming episode with Morgan Radford at
Mhm.
NBC News, who is a ray of light in human form.
Yeah.
And when we talked to her,
Force of nature.
force of nature. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if we talked about it after we got off or if I messaged with her, but I felt like she should make friends with Alex Saul, who's married to Moshe Nunu, who was a guest from season 1. And they have daughters the same age. And so I asked both of their permission because consensual intros are everything. Alex, are you good with meeting Morgan? Morgan, are you good with meeting Alex? I put them together. And because Alex is a super connector and an excellent planner, she immediately said, Morgan, I'm going to this really great mom's event with this fabulous speaker. Do you want to come with me? And then Morgan jumped in because I was part of the thread and was like, I would love to, like caps, caps, caps. And so the event was last night, and I told them they had to send me a picture. And they sent me a picture, and they both had huge smiles and said it was so great to meet. And then Alex, being Alex, tagged me on Instagram to say, like, when Rachel tells you to meet somebody, you have to meet them. And my only hope is that this continues. But our podcast led to an in real life connection last night, and I'm so happy about it.
I love that. And I would also argue that I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes.
Well, I was actually, I know I was scooping. Well, it's a number 5 thing. But I was thinking about that exact conversation as I was writing these down. So I'm glad that Alex and Morgan did connect, because I think we talked about it on air, but we'll find out when it airs. All right, Rachel, are we getting positive feedback from guests and potential listeners?
We are. I think my favorite thing is when people I'm not related to or are not a former roommate of mine share unprompted great feedback. It is so affirming, and it feels like we've moved beyond our bubble.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that too. I also saw a DM. I think we both got a DM from the same person, someone who we hadn't met. And that was lovely because she mentioned like specific.
Jamie in Denver?
I think so, yeah. And she,
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie. She mentioned specific episodes, and I was like, you have no idea how like great this is to hear. Jamie in Denver. All right, Rachel, this one's easy. Is it worth making the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel?
Yes. Yeah. I feel positively elated about making the time. And finally, are guests recommending others? Yes.
Okay, secret best part is that we are on a streak right now of guests recommending our next guest. And so I feel we are in this like daisy chain, if you will, of women suggesting other great women. And I love where it's leading.
Yeah, because it's sort of like if you sent a chain letter and you were like, send this letter on to the coolest person you know. I feel like people are taking that assignment in stride. So yes, amazing. Right, Rachel,
I also think we're going to have our third straight guest where a common bond between them is the Aspen Institute. So really smart, accomplished women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, so we also should put on our goals list to go to the Aspen Institute. Anything else that we discovered in season 1, Rachel?
I feel like we had a metric, if I remember correctly, of becoming better friends in this process.
And
I can't speak for you, but I definitely feel much closer.
Yes. I know things about you and your life and your family that I didn't know before this. So absolutely we're doing all of the friendship things. For example, spending time because we know friendship takes time. And 2, sharing, like those intimate details and having shared history too. I've met some of your friends outside of this. You've met some of my friends. So now we have like a mutual, like one of your friends reached out to me about creatine because she heard me
Oh,
bullying
Heather.
you. Yeah, she heard me bullying
Yes,
you about
yes, yes.
it.
Oh, that makes me so happy. We're like a social experiment in motion,
Yep.
and the experiment is thriving.
I love this.
I'll tell you one
Okay.
more thing I discovered, and I think it goes back to some of your research about
Mhm.
loneliness and connection, is I unscientifically have noticed that when we have podcast recording days and we're getting into these really deep discussions with interesting, smart, compelling people, my mood rises and my energy rises. So
Mm.
I'm going from feeling maybe a little low or cranky or stressed or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And then once I'm locked into this process, it's like the best parts of me are activated and I'm so much more enlivened. And so that to me is a worthwhile reason to be doing this.
Well, Rachel.
Well, Jeana, I'm sure there's a stat to support this.
Well, there is. So the brain chemicals that are released when you make a new friend or have a new experience, especially what you're describing, where it's sort of like you feel like you're in your purpose, you're sort of, which I do feel like when you're talking to people and digging into their story, you are absolutely in your purpose. Your brain releases the same chemicals, oxytocin, and dopamine in a ratio that's similar to MDMA. So that's what you were
Amazing.
experiencing. Yeah. You can find more about that in the book, Why Brains Need Friends, which I will talk about in today's show and tell more.
So this is my ecstasy. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, why
What
would we need
about,
drugs?
no, why would we when you can just
Yeah.
ask probing
Or
questions
we
and
could
you're
just make
strangers
friends. Yeah.
or make friends?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopes and dreams, season 2. What are you feeling?
Well, I have a couple. I look back at our planning doc to think through it, and I have a couple of dream guests that I wrote down originally that I'd love to try and talk to. We have Ty Haney, putting your name out there. She's done a couple of things. Joggy is her most recent venture. Outdoor Voices. She's also I just love hearing her talk. She could give a master class in the art of building a community first business. So I'd love to just talk to her about that. And then the creator of Girls Who Walk. I'd love to have her on because I think the idea of like a movement based community where people make new friends and it spread like wildfire and was free. I love that. And my last one is Casper ter Kuile. I have interviewed him on a Sweat Lives podcast before, but he co-authored like the highly shared paper that came out of Harvard Divinity School called How We Gather, which sometimes I mistake Priya Parker's book, The Art of Gathering. I switch those names up, but they're different. That covered sort of the way millennials, at this point, it was when like millennials were like the group to talk about. Now nobody cares about millennials.
No.
But like the way millennials were shirking religion for other group spaces. So he and his co-author covered a lot of things like CrossFit, Soul Cycle, etc. And then he wrote The Power of Ritual, which goes into it even deeper. So I have a couple dream guests, but also just spending more time with you, Rachel. What about you?
Well, I love our time together.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you named 3 people where community is really central to what they do.
Yeah.
And I have 3 names also, but they're all journalists, which
I know.
I think speaks to my interest in storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So, dream guests. I'd love still for Gail King to honor us with her presence. I did text her and wish her a happy Thanksgiving, and she wished me a happy Thanksgiving right back, which I thought was so sweet and so lovely. So, Gail, may we finally meet after our 5 years of texting in 2026.
It's going to happen this year. I think it will.
Jenna Bush Hager. I have met her. I am in touch with her team. I am so impressed with how she's such a voracious reader. And I think that she's doing a lot to elevate books and make them central in women's lives. And she's platforming really great authors. And she was raised by a mother who is in education, as I was. She's a fraternal twin. I have fraternal twins. I just would really love to spend some time in her brain and to also applaud and dive into the role of books in culture. So that was one. And then obviously Priya Parker, because we've paid her homage so many times. And I went to a Tim Hulskamp event recently and he talked about Priya Parker and then one of the guests talked about Priya Parker. So I feel that she is doing a lot of work she may not even realize
Mm,
to help people improve the way they gather.
absolutely. I actually, when couples book at Petite Acres, I send them her book, because it's one of
Ah,
the secrets of Petite Acres. But because I just I want them to think about it a little differently. Like, you don't have to have a wedding like you've seen a million times over.
yes. Wait, Jeana, I don't know if you read ahead because we shared our little
No,
notes back and
well,
forth, but
maybe.
one of my other hopes and dreams for 2026 is bringing the connection code to real life and perhaps doing it at Petite Acres,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like
right?
when?
I think maybe this summer, fall,
Great.
we try to gather people in community at Petite
In,
Acres and yes, the
in.
connection code in real life. Done.
Yes. I know. I want to host. I do want to, like, yes. The answer is yes. I want to do that with you. Okay. Planning to
Okay.
continue. Rachel, should we do a show and tell?
Yes, I have one I'm really excited about if you don't mind if I dive in.
Please.
Okay. So I am the kind of person that when I like a writer, shocking, I really like the writer. So there's a couple journalists that I follow very closely because I just think they're such gifted wordsmiths and they also find really interesting stories that wouldn't be uncovered otherwise. So
Mhm.
one of those writers is a New York Times journalist named Catherine Rosman or Katie Rosman. And she is clever and she's interesting and she has a sly sense of humor and she's so skilled with her craft. And we discovered that we went to the same college and we're in the same sorority,
Mm.
just at different times. So I really follow along closely. We've never met in person, but we do occasionally message. So she posted that she had this new story. And so I went to go read it. And the premise was so aligned with what we talk about. It was about a group of women, and they call themselves Group with a capital G. And for 44 years, they have sustained this group. So I believe it's 6 women plus an outside therapist or mental health professional, someone who can help guide the discussions. I did send you a gift link to read this because you have to
Yeah.
read the story.
Yeah.
And so these women for 44 years get together 2 Tuesdays a month in person. And they use these sessions to move through all of the challenges and issues and significant milestones of life. And they have showed up for each other through marriage and death and illness and all of the things that come with life's travails. And the story was so beautifully written and so sensitive. And people talked about how group was kind of famous in this larger community, but you can't expand it. Like the group is the group, the dynamic is the dynamic. It's very hard to replicate. There's a bit of magic, but it also speaks to durability
Mm.
and commitment and loyalty and the
Mhm.
willingness to put in the time. They've had conflicts, they've gone through their own set of turbulent moments, but they stay together. And so I was very inspired by the story. And I think it speaks so much to what we talk about in terms of needing and craving connection. It doesn't happen by accident. You have to be really intentional. You have to
Mhm.
inconvenience yourself sometimes to make it work. You have to be willing to show up for other people, and that there's a lot of wisdom gleaned from a group. And so Katie interviewed some of their children and the way that the wisdom of the group has sort of trickled down and affected their lives too. So it was just really a poignant, affecting, beautiful story. And I told Katie about it and that we are going to talk about it on the podcast. So, Katie, I'm going to send you the link. I hope you listen, but thank you for the wonderful stories that you put out into the world. They really inspire me as a reader.
I think that is such a masterclass in those close ties. So
Mhm.
well, first and foremost, Rachel, is that something you would do in your life? Like, would
I
you
would
replicate this?
love a group like this. Yes, a
Capital
hundred
G group.
percent.
I feel like
Capital
that group.
G.
Yeah, I feel like what that group needs to do is write like a guide to, like, how to group with
Ooh,
your,
how to
yeah,
group.
how to group.
They should
You
do
know,
something.
they should, because I think like you're right. They can't add to it. But they can, like, in some way, shape, or form. Like, everybody could group. You could. I would love to see it. But it's a masterclass in close ties, because they have that longevity. They have a lifetime of connect. Like, 44 years is insane, to have sustained this. And there's also, like, there's so much research on longevity and health benefits of those sorts of close ties where you have that sort of second nature instinct to just know when someone needs you, which is what they're building.
Yes. And what I thought was interesting is some women within the group do socialize outside of it or double date, and some don't. And there's a
Mm,
little bit of tension around should
mm,
this group be separate from friendship?
mm.
Do you know what I mean? Does it play a
Yeah,
different function in your life? And so I think it can get a bit blurry, but they've traveled together, they've celebrated milestones. It sounds like whenever anybody has a birthday that ends in a 5, they make a deal about it.
yeah.
So it also fascinates me how this little ecosystem comes up with its own rules and norms so that they can
Yeah.
operate together and show up as their best selves.
Rachel, you've read the book Group, right?
It's so funny. I have it on my nightstand from Heather. I
Mm,
started, but I have such a towering stack of books,
I
some
know.
that I need to read faster. So
Yeah.
group's on pause, different group.
Different group. But what's interesting about it is that it is like a tried and true like group therapy practice that the book is about. And the author is like a Chicago based, I believe, attorney. Um, she's still in Chicago after, and it's very revealing about her life. Like I love where she went with it. Um, but what's interesting is in that story, they bump up against the same sort of challenges. Like, can people, because it's a mixed gender group, like, can people from the group date? Can they socialize? Like, what are, when you, because when you're sharing that much about your lives, like, some people are more private and some people just DGAF, you know?
Okay, I will have to get back to reading that book as well. But you need to read this article. And I
Okay.
in our endless text stream where
I
we
know.
constantly send links back and forth, I'll bump this one back up.
No, I haven't. I read the first 2 paragraphs and I was like, I love them. I don't need to know anymore. And clearly I needed to know everything else because inverted, you forget like a feature story is different than an inverted triangle. Like this isn't an
Journalism
inverted
101,
triangle, you
yes.
know, like this is a feature story. Like there are nuggets down at the bottom that I need to know.
Yeah, and I feel like this about Ben Cohen at the Wall Street Journal too. There's just some people who are so good at crafting stories
Mm-hmm.
that I'm experiencing it on 2 levels. I want to know what happens, and I also want to see how they do it
Yeah.
because I feel like I learn hopefully how to be a slightly better writer by seeing someone who's so expert at it.
Oh, I love that. So you're sort of dissecting the story as you go.
Yes, yes. Okay, what is your show and tell for the week?
Okay, so what's interesting is you and I brought opposite sides of the same coin today. So you brought close ties in this capital G group, and I brought loose ties. So in the book, Why Brains Need Friends, um, I was listening to it today while I was doing my lift this morning, and I heard this I heard this sentence that the author penned and was reading aloud. Um, about how there are brain boosting benefits to these like tiny social interactions, like saying thank you to a clerk or talking to a stranger. Um, and the effect can be like a full day of mood boosting benefit. And I think the reason why it struck me so hard is it put into words and put into science something that I experienced, and I think a lot of people experienced during the pandemic. I kept saying to people, like, what I miss is having a conversation with the Trader Joe's checkout person. Like, I just want to have
Yes.
like medium conversations, I kept saying. And so this kind of points to the fact that like we actually benefit from that too and need that too. And there are more and more studies that look into these small day-to-day interactions. A couple in particular, because I did some digging after hearing this sentence. I was like, wait, I need more. Give me more. Like, what are the benefits? Prove to me the
Mhm.
benefits. So I took off and did some extracurricular. And so there are a couple studies, like a commuter study in London, where people were given a prompt just to talk to any stranger at all, and then rank their commute. We talked about a similar study that was done in Chicago, Rachel, like in season 1, and then
Yes.
a coffee shop study where patrons were given a similar prompt. And it was true across both of those interactions that people who talked to strangers ended up having a better experience in the day and in their life.
Anecdotally, I feel like I support this 100%. And maybe it's growing up with a mom who would always talk to whoever was in line
Yep.
near us. So it became very normalized to talk to strangers and make a
Mm-hmm.
big world smaller. But I also love this, and you've witnessed it. I want to know my barista. I want to
Yeah.
know the neighborhood bookstore owners. I
Right.
want to smile at people on the street. I just feel that moving through life being really pleasant to people you don't know is beneficial on both sides.
I also think that this is another case for manners, for like teaching the please and the thank you, because it gives you another way to just always be interacting with strangers. Someone opens a door for you, thank you.
Yes.
Would you like me to pass that? Please. So I think this is another. I love a please and a thank you, and I think this is just a great case for that because it'll boost your mood too.
Yes. I mean, here's one tiny example. And how many times in your life have you gotten in an elevator with strangers? Thousands.
Millions.
But I still remember one time being in a medical building and I'm in the elevator and this guy comes in and he is radiating energy and positivity. Like you could just almost feel it palpably. And he just like smiled big, said hi to the elevator, was giving mood. And I'm like, that is something special to be able to walk into an enclosed space that nobody wants to be in and just sort of uplift everybody by virtue of the positivity that was sort of just, again, emanating from him. And I'm not saying we all need to be that person all the time and you don't want to force it. But I do think in the moments where you could just walk into a coffee shop or a retail environment or a train or an airplane and be like moderately more pleasant and just a little more inviting, it makes a difference. It just creates a domino effect.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is not, like, this is not the guidance to smile and be pleasant. Like we're not giving that, that guidance. We're saying like, interact. It gives you the experience of a pleasing interaction. It makes you feel more pleasant because I think it's easy to sort of tell people like smile, and often that's given to women, like be polite, smile, be pleasant. And I think there is a non-gendered way of looking at this where we're telling people to like, no, just interact and you'll make a friend and you'll have a smaller world as a result of it.
Absolutely. Yes. I like that we came at this from two different angles, but I think close ties and loose ties both serve a lot of value in our lives.
Absolutely. Rachel, anything else you want to reflect on about season 1 or look forward to for season 2 before we wrap it up?
Well, I am grateful for you. So thank you for setting this in motion. And I'm thankful to everybody who listened. We got this fun Spotify Wrapped for creators and we got to see some data and stats. And it just, sometimes I feel like this is our pet project. And it's nice to know that in some small way, it's landing in people's ears. Maybe they're getting some connection perspective they didn't have before. But I love being part of this creative venture with you.
Me too.
You're my group. We're a 2-person group.
Yeah. Capital G, Rachel and Jeana. Well, this has been another episode of The Connection Code, a podcast about friends, connections, work, and everything in between. This is a production of 2 friends, Rachel Gelman-Rischel and Jeana Anderson Cohen, and we would love to hear from you on anywhere you do social stuff. LinkedIn, you can look us up using both our last names, or Instagram, the same thing. We would love to hear from you, and we'd love to thank you for listening. Thanks to Ben Cleaver also for editing this podcast.
Thank you. Bye, Ben.
Thank you.